everybody. This is Caitlin with Mr. Ron LeGrand for another Ask Ron. How are you doing today?
Well, we got a big one today. We got 13 questions, so
yes,
we're going to try to get them in best we can. So I'm going to have to give you short answers. Go ahead.
Okay, well, our first one's from Dr. Larry Holtfrerich of Kansas. He says he's a new member and just started in your fast track program. He has a $400,000 house drop in his lap, and the seller is free and clear on moving into his new house on August 20th. He is interested in a lease option deal. I spoke with him about determining a value for the house in terms. The value of the market of the home is about $380,000 to $405,000. He liked the lease payments of $2,800 for a leasee. What should I offer for his house, down payment to him, and monthly payment to him?
You should offer none of those, Larry. If you've been studying my systems, you know we don't make offers. We ask the seller some questions called the $1 million script and let him make us offers. And I can tell you, there's no way you can pay a $2,800 payment on a $400,000 house. That's for absolute certain. You'll never cover that with rent. So that payment's got to go way, way down. So if you do not have the $1 million script, you need to get your hands on that first. I don't know if it's up on the on the Go Club site or not yet. Do you, Caitlin?
I do not know.
Okay, well, you have to go on the Go Club site and see if the scripts are on it. If not, contact our office and we'll try to get them to you. But you got to read those scripts, and they go like this. If we can agree upon the terms, what's the least you could take? And he'll give you a number, and you got to say, well, that's the best you can do. We got to get it lower than that. That's total top retail price. And then you're going to go to, I assume you, well, if this is a lease purchase, then you're going to go to, we usually buy with nothing down. And if he says, no, I need some money, you're going to say, well, how close to zero can you get? Because when I lease option a house, we usually put nothing down, okay? And then the last question is, what is the absolute lowest monthly payment you could take on this thing? And then it gives you an answer. Wow, we got to get it lower than that, because I don't think I could even cover that one rent, and I got to have a spread in order to be interested in taking on the responsibility of all this house. So all these things, and you got to be able to answer them with benefits to him. Like if he wants a high payment, I can't pay that. House can't afford it. So we got to get it way down so that I can actually collect more than I pay you. Remember, I'm responsible for the repairs and the vacancies and all of that. You're not if you lease option it to me. About the price, I can't pay 100% of the value because I got to have some room here. I got to get paid somehow, and I get paid from the difference between what I pay you and what I charge. So I don't need to steal your house, but I got to have some room to operate. Gosh, a realtor would charge you 6%. So you're getting the point. But you ask questions, he makes you an offer, you counter and get him to come back with something you can accept. And if you can't accept it, just point blank tell him. There's no reason for me to come look at the house if you've got to have $2,800 a month because I know I won't pay it. Okay. Got it? Get into the quick start school, sir.
Our next one is from Michael Beene of Illinois. Hi, Ron. Can I get a deed in my name with a power of attorney with the owner being deceased?
No, you cannot. If the owner is deceased, nobody can deed you the property unless there was some kind of a court hearing. The judge could, but that's the only person. Power of attorney cannot transfer ownership of the property. So now you got to deal with the heirs, whoever they are. Okay.
The next one's from Saejin Chung of New Jersey. Hi, Ron. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm wondering if deeding a property from an LLC into a land trust would trigger transfer tax.
That depends on where you live, and that's a question you need to ask your tax recorder's office, because I don't know the answer. It might, but yeah, it probably will, because when you put a property into a trust, it's a personal thing for estate planning. You're going to have a hard time claiming that from an LLC to a trust, so I wouldn't be surprised if you would have to pay the transfer tax.
Okay. Saejin also asked, can you finance a property in a land trust?
Probably not. The lender will probably make you take it out, put it in your name, close the loan, but you can put it right back in the same day. If you're actually going to go to the bank and get a loan and violate all of my instructions and my 37 years worth of experience.
Saejin also asked, if I buy a wraparound mortgage, how can I ensure that the seller continues to pay for the property instead of keeping the money and not paying?
Okay, I assume you mean if you buy on a wraparound mortgage, because I can buy with a wrap and I can buy a wrap. But the answer to your question is you pay the bank directly. And that's all you have to do, and that's just get the seller to understand that, and your attorney ought to create a little addendum that you're going to pay the bank directly and get it signed at closing.
Okay, and their last question was, can I add a prepayment penalty to a seller finance note?
Let me go back to that first one. Now, if there's a difference between what you're paying on the seller's note and what you're paying the seller, then you have no choice but to pay the seller and let him pay the bank. That ain't a problem. You don't need to worry about somebody taking that money and not paying them, because they're defaulting on their own account, they're killing their own contract, and they're ruining their own credit on their underlying loan. I certainly would not worry about that.
Okay. Our next one is from Shashank.
Wait a minute. Okay, I didn't answer that.
Oh no, you're okay.
What was
The
that?
last one.
Last one from whom?
Yeah. This one is also from Saejin.
Okay.
And can I add a prepayment penalty to a seller finance note?
You mean when you're selling? Because you certainly wouldn't want one when you're buying. So you can, but I don't know why. Just raise the price and forget the prepayment penalty when you're selling. And if you get paid off, so what? It's a big chunk of cash. You don't need a prepayment penalty.
Okay. Our next one's
But there's nothing stopping you from adding it if you want it. Go ahead.
Our next one's from Shashank Gokhale. I probably totally butchered that. I'm sorry.
I'm sure
Texas.
You did. Okay.
I like the idea of doing subject to deals. How do I find FSBO deals? How do I talk to them? What forms do I need? And who do I need on my team, like a realtor, attorney?
There is no way that I could be expected to answer that question on this question and answer session. Sir, that is why we have a 4-day quick start training for you to come to. That's a lot of questions with a lot of different answers. And Josh, how to find them, for example. I spent a whole half day on that alone on the first day in the quick start school. So get into the school. If you're going to do this business, you certainly better not react on the short answer that I'd have to give you to those questions on this Q&A session.
Okay.
If you're a Gold Club member, you know I got a ton of lessons on there as well, under training.
Yes. Our next one's from Edgar Alexandre of Florida. When we do a wraparound mortgage, instead of paying the seller's mortgage myself, I will be making payments directly to him, correct?
I just answered that, actually.
Yes, and how do I make sure?
If you owe him what he owes the bank, you pay it directly to the bank. If he's got a bunch of equity, pay it to him. Quit worrying about it. He ain't going to do anything stupid. If he does, he's cutting his own throat.
Okay. You always say that you will hit me with a board if I ever guarantee someone's debt. When I buy with a wraparound mortgage, am I not guaranteed?
No, you're not. You're buying it in a land trust, which is a grantor revocable trust. Your trustee signs as trustee on the note. There's no liability to the trustee. Therefore, the trust is guaranteeing the debt, and the only thing is in the trust is the house. Your name will not even appear on the documents anywhere unless you are the manager of the trustee buying the house, and then you're signing as manager. You have no liability either.
Okay.
And it'll be a big board I'll hit you with. Promise. It'll be hard, too. It will be blood. It'll be yours, not mine. Go ahead.
Our next one's from Gina Morgan of Mississippi. When buying the owner financing and deed, and the deed has transferred, what if I had to give the house back to the seller? How does the seller get the deed back to protect him?
Okay, well, you'll have to prepare the deed and give it back to the seller, and they'll have to pay the closing costs. But I wish you'd quit thinking like that. You won't have to give the house back. There's always a way to fix whatever issue might come up after you buy the house. But just so you sleep better, fill out a deed, hand it to them, or have their attorney do it for you, which is probably a better idea, and then you just sign it and be done with it.
Okay. The payments I make to the seller should be 100% credited towards the balance I owe him, correct?
No, not necessarily. That depends on how you buy it, and which there's several ways to do. So no, the answer is not always credited. Sometimes you're paying the seller interest only. Then there is no principal pay down. Sometimes you're paying principal and interest. There's a small amount principal pay down. Sometimes you pay him all principal. Then there's a big amount. You know, so it's all in the individual deal. It's case by case.
Okay. And then Gina's last question was, the only credit my lease purchase buyer gets is the option deposited, credited at their time of their purchasing the property, right?
That is correct.
Okay. That was her last question. Okay, our next one's from Alpha Dixon of Alabama.
Alabama.
And these are going to be our last two questions for today. Are pre-foreclosures considered okay in the pretty house business? If so, what are the factors and information that will help us recognize a good pre-foreclosure?
Well, pre-foreclosure means they're behind on payments, but they haven't been filed on yet, okay? And they may or may not be good for the pretty house business. The answer is it depends on how far they're behind on their payments. Let's say you have a $300,000 house and they owe $260 on it, but they are $24,000 behind. The problem is, sure, you can buy the house for what they owe, then you got to come up with the $24,000 to bring the payments current, and then how do you get paid? Because at the most you're going to get is your $25,000 back when you put a tenant buyer in the house. So if you're willing to give up the front end, it's a deal. And that's assuming you're willing to put up the $24,000, because you're at risk when you do that you'll get the $25,000 back, but there might be a deal there. But if the front end payments are so far behind that it makes no economical sense to bring them current, then it is a no deal, and your only your only way to buy it there would be a short sale. So it's case by case, and it always comes down to the math. If they haven't been foreclosed on, there's a good chance they're only a few payments behind, and it might make sense. But even that's going to depend on their equity. If they don't have a bunch of equity, I'm not going to make up payments.
Okay. Alpha's last question is, for a home that is under contract, who is responsible for paying the annual property taxes, me or the owner?
If it's under contract, well, the answer is always whoever owns the property pays the property taxes, period. When title transfers, then you pick up from where they left off.
Okay, that was the last one.
Okay, well, gosh, that didn't take long. All right. Okay, I'll see you next week, guys. Go out there and get some deals and keep those questions coming. These were all good questions today, actually. See you soon.